your sunrise.
My first encounter with him was in December 1940.
Was a gifted man all round. There is no area you talk about or you walk about that you will not show you how it is done.
He was able to use cocoa, palm oil, and a few other products locally to run one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
That he was nicknamed MI Power.
Later, Dr. Michael Fakbara.
Fakbara took over at a time when there were no institutions.
Even though the eastern region was the poorest of the regions at the time.
He was a pioneer. He had to lay the foundation for it.
Whatever he sets his hand on, which is good, he will see to it that it is done properly.
From January till December, there was always a new project that was commissioned.
He's a very pragmatic person, but always rooted in the people.
Like that, as if he was so he was in such a hurry that he wanted to do so much.
Unfortunately, the Civil War dislocated so many things.
I personally felt extremely sad.
Because the ideas and the principle which they stood for, their successors in many cases didn't follow. And that's where we are seeing it today.
Onyagala 1 year that's leave nobody behind. Philosophy of the Igbo community, that's what it built into.
The politics of then was politics of principles.
Truth was that he was an honest man. He was really a nationalist. He didn't build a house, even in his hometown.
He was a dedicated Nigerian of Igbo extraction.
Down forever. We shall rise again. We shall yet see our sunrise. The Kenga sunrise.
Okay, dịka unu si ime ọ bụghị ntị m ka nke unu na ngwụcha ihe nyonyo asị na we shall rise again. Ọ bụ onineanya anyị ma bụrụkwa nkwenye n'uche anyị na Igbo nation must and will rise again. M ga-eji ohere a biko kpọlite tupu anyị a na-ebido onye ga-ekpere anyị ekpere otu minute. Amaghị m o nwere bishọp nọ n'etiti anyị. Onwe any bishop nọ n'etiti anyị biko onye nchụaja nọ n'etiti anyị nwere ike ikpere anyị ekpere. Ọ bụrụ na o nwee biko wenitụ aka gị enu jide igwe eji ekwu okwu. Ọ bụrụ na ị nke ndị ọzọ na-asụ raise your hand. Ọ bụrụ na anyị ga-amara na ịnọ ya ka ikpere anyị ekpere ka anyị wee bido. Ọ bụrụkwa na onwe gị ma na m ga-akpọlite Iyom Josephine Anini ka okpere anyị ekpere biko na onwe ndị biko Iyom unmute yourself ka ikpere anyị ekpere.
N'afọ nke nna na nke nwa na nke mmụọ nsọ, anyị bụ ụmụ ndị Igbo anyị ejikọkwa ọzọ ka anyị kpaa ife dị anyị mkpa n'obi ka anyị ga-esi wee jikọta anyị Igbo ka anyị ga-esi wee rọpụta ndị ga-achị anyị duo anyị ka anyị wee bụrụ ndị kwado na anyị ga-abụ ndị Igbo ka ife niile kwadoro anyị ka anyị wee mezuo ya wee na-ayọ gị na mitin anụwa anyị na-eme biko nna ka itinye eziokwu n'obi mmadụ niile wepụ ụjọ ife mmadụ ga-ekwu ma ife mmadụ ama ekwu wepụ ụjọ n'obi ndị mmadụ ka fa kwuo eziokwu maka eziokwu bụ ndụ and eziokwu ga-eseta anyị free ka nna anyị Zik kwu. Ana m ayọ ife a niile n'afọ Jizọs Kraịst onye nwe anyị. Amen.
Amen. Na ukwu bụ Iyom Josephine Anini anyị ekene gị. Eji m ohere a ka m kpọbatazịa onye ga-abụ nke ndị oyibo na-akpọ the chief moderator na mgbede a. Onye ga-abụ onye ga-enye anyị usoro anyị ga-eji wee mee ihe niile. Nwanne m nwoke bụ Dr. Okechukwu Ikechukwu, biko ọ bụrụ na ị ga-abịa ka m nhanye gị ya bụ ihe n'aka, ka unmute yourself and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Maazị nwanne m nwoke, nwanne anyị nwoke. Nwoke ọma anyị ji eme ọnụ. Ekene m onye ọbụla. Igbo si na anara eji aka ọkwụ enwude ihe na-amị amị. Maazị ọkwa eziokwu.
Otu a ka ọ dị.
Nzukọ a kpọrọ ọ ihe na-amị amị ka anyị na ya na-agacha. And nzukọ a kpọrọ awụrụ ka akọwa ọnụ ka a sị na onye a mejọrọ ma na onye nna ya mejọrọ. N'ọka mmale etu a ga-esi mee ka ndị nọ na-amaje eche na n'ọsọsọ bụ ka anyị na-anụba anyị. So on that note, I will welcome everybody. Unu mana nkata anyị na-akpa ụwa niile na-ege na Facebook and several other platforms. And dịka obodo si dị, anyị sị ka anyị kwuo onye this stage na ọsọsọ na asụsụ anyị, onwe ndị oge ọma n'elu. So now ka nkọwa most of it n'oyibo, mana ọ bụrụ na Igbo ya marụ nke dokwuru anyị niile anya. Anyị nwere usoro a ga-eji nwee nzukọ. That's the agenda for the meeting. Already Mazi, who is the anchor, has opened up the event. We shall have 5 minutes welcome remarks by Emeku Ugoju, who in the last couple of weeks and months has been in the forefront of genuine efforts to create Igbo consensus, to get our people to speak with one voice and to have a sense of a nurturing disposition towards ohaneze and Igbos generally. So he will give us 5 minutes, an opening remark that will not exceed 5 minutes. Then we shall have a presentation of concerned IMOB members. Their communique will be presented by Dr. Omar Elazu, and we expect that this should take 10 minutes. Next on the agenda will be comments by listed groups in attendance and comments also by some concerned IMOB members and also from the audience. This is expected to take us 40 minutes. And please, I'd like to observe and plead at this point that, and I will say this in Igbo, onwere onye akpọrọ nzukọ na nwere ihe o nwere ikwu. Or as they will say in the dialect I appear to prefer, ọ dị onye a ga-ekpọ nzukọ ya wụrụ shi onweghị ihe ọ ga-ekara ụmụnna. So if you're called to a meeting, that is not the time to read through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Onye binye ikwu okwu, please, you get to the point and you keep it brief. It shows respect for other participants. It shows time consciousness. And after that series of comments by organizations and some individuals, we shall have an address by the former Senate President, a major stakeholder in Igbo and Nigerian affairs, Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, who shall address us on a core issue relating to the issues on the table, but more importantly, Igbo unity, cohesion in Nigeria, the need for us not to be anybody's laughing stock. After his presentation, we shall also have some comments because obviously there will be reactions to those comments. And that will actually bring the major proceedings with those remarks and comments to an end. And we shall have a wrap-up. After which Maazi Tochukwu Ezeoke will give us the vote of thanks and will bring the evening to a close. So before I call Emeku Ugoju to address us, let me establish a few ground rules. We are not here to determine for ohaneze the way to go. We are not here to have people exchange combative submissions on who is right or wrong, or to use the wrong choice of words in addressing any of the issues on the table. This is a meeting of mature, responsible, and concerned individuals who have been for decades painfully involved in everything that will raise the dignity, national relevance, and international profile of Ndibo. I would like us to participate in this meeting bearing this in mind, knowing that the rest of the world is looking at us. More importantly, knowing that younger Igbo youths are looking at this meeting, and anybody who is speaking should ask himself, am I carrying on in such a way that I would like a young person to say, when I grow up, I would like to talk like this man, or I would like to behave like this woman? Those are the things to bear in mind as our ground rules. No use of very strong or abusive language. And please, whatever points need to be made, we get to it at once. We all have the background to the issues on the table. And on that note, and without wasting further time, I'd like to welcome onto the virtual lectern, Mazi Emeku Ugoju, for his introductory welcome remarks to the group. Ugoju, you have the virtual lectern.
Dr. Ike Kenemgi. Ndị deje nọ eji m afa BNC Fabs na Njem Media TV na-ekene ndị Igbo niile gbakọrọ na webinar nke a. Onye ọbụla zalụ nke a na-etu ya. Anyị gbakọrọ tata n'usoro ife anyị bidoro ọnwa one ma one gara aga anyị na-akpọ Ohaneze Webinar Series. Ya bụ nnọkọ ndị Igbo ịkpakọrịta na ịgbasa ozi maka ọhaneze ndị Igbo. Tata bụ ụbọchị ụka 31 Jenụwarị 2021. Anyị ga-akpa maka ndọrọndọrọ ọhaneze n'afọ 2021. Kedu ka o si gaa? Ọ gara ọfụma ka ọ na ọ gara ọfụma? Kedu ife ndị Igbo siri na a ga-eme ka ọhaneze na-aga n'iru? Ndị ga-ekwu isiokwu tata bụ ndị otu Concern Imobi Ohaneze. Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, GCON. Onye mgbe gara aga bụ Senate President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ọtụtụ otu ndị Igbo nọ na ụlọ ma ndị nọ n'ofesi etinyekwa ọnụ n'izu a ga-agba tata. Mana bikonu, tupu anyị ebido ịbanye n'isiokwu tata, anyị ga-anọdụ nwayọọ obere oge maka ilota ndị isi anyị na ụmụ nwanne anyị na ọhaneze nwụrụ anwụ n'oge na-etere aka. Onye nke mbụ bụ His Excellency Rear Admiral Ndubisi Kanu retired, Ugwumba ndị Igbo. Senator Onyeabụ Obi, Oseoji Nnewi. Barrister Oscar Onwudiwe, President Aki Ikenga, Member Igbo Stabilization Fund Implementation Committee, bụrụkwa Member Electoral Committee for Ohaneze Election 2021. Professor Ebediwe, Member Igbo Stabilization Fund. Chief Ziggy Azike Omelumba, Professor Nick Idoko. Ka mkpụrụ obi fa na mkpụrụ obi niile nwụrụ anwụ wee zuru ike na ndokwa. Ndị be anyị, ugwu kasị mma anyị ga-akwanyere ndị nke anyị nwụrụ anwụ bụ ka anyị niile gbaa ezigbo mbọ ka ọhaneze na-aga n'iru. Mbọsị ikpeazụ mụ afọ Senator Onyeabụ Obi bụ Disemba 20, 2020 na Nike Lake Resort n'Enugu, na nzukọ Imobi Ohaneze. Oseoji Nnewi rapụrụ ife niile ọ na-eme na Nnewi lobie Enugu ikpe alụ maka ọganihu ọhaneze. Aga m etinyezi mgbakọ anyị tata n'aka Maazị Tochukwu Ezeoke, onye isi Njem Media TV, na Dr. Oke Ikechukwu, odeakwụkwọ ndị Igbo ji eme ọnụ, ka badubezi anyị n'usoro ife anyị ga-eme tata. Biko ma anyị ga-ekwesị ife anyị ga-ekwu, o nwee ebe m ga-alụta aka na-abụ ife ndị Igbo chọọ ka ọhaneze tinye anya n'ife niile a ga-eme gaba n'iru. Nke mbụ bụ sekuriti ala Igbo. Nke abụọ bụ akụ ruo ụlọ ya na ala Igbo Stabilization Fund. Nke ịtọ bụ restructuring of Nigeria ya nakwa right to self-determination. Nke ịnọ bụzikwa Nigerian President of Igbo extraction from Southeast Zone in 2023. Ife anọ ya anụwa bụ ife na-akpọtụta ndị Igbo niile, ọ bụrụ ọsọ ofu. A ga-asịrị nke kasị mkpa ọ ga-abụ sekuriti ala Igbo. So biko ka a hazie na ọhaneze ọfụma ka e wee tinye anya na ife a. Ndị be anyị ekene m unu ọzọ. Daalụ nọ.
No, ikwugbe ka isi kwesị ikwu. And esikwa m kwuo na okwu ha adọgo anyị aka na ntị na ọnwa ihe eji maka ya bịa. There's a reason why we are here and we should focus on that reason. The tone of Mazi when he spoke and your own tone shows sobriety, and I expect that that will run through the entire proceedings. The next item on the agenda is the presentation by the concerned IMOB members of the communique, which is the outcome of their recent meeting and consultations, touching on the issues that are either contentious or appear to be contentious, and I believe in the process also proffering solutions. So we shall now invite Venerable Dr. Umar Elazo, distinguished elder statesman, at all levels, at the national level, at the community level, and to the wide acknowledgement of everybody who has been part of Igbo history at the level of dignity and decency. I'll invite the venerable gentleman to present that communique on behalf of concerned IMOB members. Would he please be unmuted? If he is muted, or sir, you may unmute yourself. I think you have that facility.
I think just, I don't know how he's logged in.
Yeah, he's logged in, but he's muted as we speak.
Oh, okay.
So, sir, you can hear me. Kindly unmute yourself. Can the Zoom master do that for him?
It's fine. He will do that now, quickly. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
yes,
sir.
Yes, please. You're on now. You're welcome. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Ekele mmadụ dum bịara nzukọ nke anyasị a. Ka m kwuru ebe protocol nke emeghale established by both the coordinator today and also Honorable Emeka Ugwoju. Mmadụ dum ekelele m unu ma enwe ndị gbakọrọ ọnụ na-achọ ka eme ife ka ọ dị mma mgbe a na-aga election ọhaneze. Anyị dum nọ na ya, ọtụtụ anyị wụkwa members IMOB. Concerned IMOB members awụha a different organization, all members of IMOB of ọhaneze. Ndị hụrụ ihe na-aga na ha sị na ọ dịghị mma, o kwesịrị ka eme ihe otu eji dee ya na kọnstitushọn anyị. A sị eme nkwa ekwere ọlụ nzọpụta agwụ. Anyị emeela issue communique number 1, communique number 3, number 2. Nke a m ga-agụpụta ugbu a wụ communique number 3. The background wụ emeela election. Anyị dum ahụla ihe na-aga na o nwere ndị gara ibe a na-ekpe ikpe gbaa akwụkwọ si na ha ekwe ha. Ya nwere ndị ekpọpụtara n'ume executive si na emere election. Ya nwere ndị chọrọ na-edo ndọrọ ndọrọ ọkwa ndị amaghị otu esi wee mee ha, a naracha ha ego. ha gbaa fọm emekatazie ha amaghị ebe e mere election so emeli election ugbu a since then ndị mmadụ na-akpọ anyị that is concerned Imobi ma ndị na-ede n'akwụkwọ WhatsApp newspaper and so on and so forth so anyị gbakọrọ yesterday that is the concerned Imobi members ka anyị ha ihe kwesịrị na ka eme so unu ga-biko nye m permission ka m gụọ ya n'oyibo so that mmadụ dum ahụ otu obi anyị si wee na-aga na nzukọ ahụ unu kwere otu ahụ
ndewo sir gawa n'ihu anyị kwere
Communique number 3 issued after a conclave of concerned Imobi members held on Saturday, 30th January 2021. That was yesterday. And I read, concerned Imobi members with representatives of local and diaspora Igbo organizations met today, that was yesterday, 30th, in a Zoom conclave. Having reviewed decisions since their last meeting on 10th January 2021, we considered carefully the evolving developments associated with the Ohaneze Ndigbo election crisis. Account was taken of the contents of more than a dozen petitions, complaints, and proposals which we have received. These included documented breaches of the Ohaneze Constitution in the elections submitted by numerous local and Igbo entities, ongoing litigations among the contending factions and aspirants to Ohaneze leadership. The concerned Imobi members proceeded to adopt the following resolutions. Number 1, that concerned Imobi members have observed as totally unacceptable the current situation whereby Ndigbo are essentially stranded in the wilderness without a properly elected national executive of Ohaneze as a respectable and rallying leadership, especially at a time when the existential threat facing our people is unprecedented and relentless. 2, the concerned Imobi members believe that it is the duty and responsibility of all genuine Igbo sons and daughters at home and abroad to courageously do everything possible to bring our people back to unity, particularly in respect of the major contending groups, through a pledge to place the interest of Ndigbo above all other interests, internal and external. Reconciliation, renewal of commitment to follow the tenets of Ohaneze Constitution. There is need to reconcile and restore mutual trust and understanding among the feuding factions, if only for the unity and survival of Ndigbo. 3, that the concerned Imobi members wish to emphasize that under the circumstances, the unambiguously acceptable solution path is one predicated on the Ohaneze Constitution. It is a path that is fair to all and established without prejudice to any of the currently contending entities. It is a common meeting ground or locus at which any group working for the dignified identity, survival, and progress of Ndigbo will arrive. It is axiomatic that any entity that does not subscribe to our collective reliance on the Ohaneze Constitution is definitely working for a non-Igbo agenda. 4, that concerned Imobi members, after due consideration of the complex set of circumstances and situation, and conscious of the urgent need to salvage the situation and raise a beacon of hope for Ndibo, have considered it appropriate that to drive the reconciliation process and fill the vacuum of a credible rallying point, to ask the College of Igbo Archbishops and Bishops to be requested to provide leadership at this peculiar moment in the history of Ndibo. 5, that concerned Imobi members therefore hereby mandate the College of Igbo Archbishops and Bishops to lead the peace, reconciliation, and unity efforts with the following expandable terms of reference. Identify and remind all feuding parties and their sponsors and associates on their primary responsibility to preserve and enhance the integrity and perception of Ndibo. 2, to ask them to commit to a resolution of the impasse based on the Ohaneze Constitution, and therefore to sign a memorandum to that effect. Thirdly, to get the contending parties to subscribe to the need for the Peace Committee to assist to form an interim government of unity, where normalization and harmonization of interests are pursued, preparatory to organizing and conducting a credible election based on Ohaneze Constitution. 6, the concerned Imobi members have also constituted a technical committee of its members to support the College of Archbishops and Bishops in their assignment. 7, that concerned Imobi members are convinced that failure to initiate these remedial measures immediately would have disastrous implications for the cultural, political, and socioeconomic standing of Ndibo, and could render her irrelevant, both in the ambiguous Nigerian Federation and the international community. Finally, the concerned Imobi members, meanwhile, appeal to all Ndibo to do all in their power to de-escalate the crisis, maintain peace, and to start rebuilding mutual trust among ourselves. End of communique is signed by the chairman, me, Omar Lazo, secretary, Dr. Abraham Wankwo, and coordinator, engineer Chris Okoye. I so present to Ndibo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, everybody, for giving him uninterrupted audience. A few things are clear from this communique. Number one, that it is a communique by members of Imobi, and therefore not some strange body, a new Imobi or breakaway Imobi. That it's made up of individuals who felt the need to draw attention to what they felt were irregularities in the processes leading up to the last elections and the elections itself. The communique has drawn attention to what is perceived as breaches of the Constitution and probably violations of the rules of engagement. The communique is not calling for any riotous action. It's calling for consultation, to meet each other halfway, for compromise, for a committee He's even bringing in the Council of Bishops. And I think that for me, for all of us, we can see that this is a clear demonstration of goodwill, and therefore on its face value is available for further interrogation. To that extent, let us give the presenter a round of applause before we invite comments on it for a very brief and straightforward communique. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And without further ado, we go on to the next item on the agenda, which is to call up comments from organizations and individuals. And I'll call up the organizations, and each should endeavor to speak within 2 minutes. The whole idea being, assuming I'm representing an organization and I agree with the communique, there really would be no need for me to repeat the contents of the communique, but probably to affirm and agree with it, or say that I have no comment. So I'll follow the list in the order it's given to me in a piece of paper here. I'll first call on the Association of Southeast Town Unions, ASETU, for a 2-minute comment on the communique, if any, or at least to say, yes, we are aware of and we endorse the communique. ASETU, any representation? If there is no representation, we move on to Igbo World Assembly, IWA, for comment on the communique. If there is none, we'll call.
Wait, why not?
Very well.
You know,
okay.
Yeah, Dr. Nwachukwu Kwenze, Chairman of Igbo World Assembly.
Yes, please.
I was part of that Imobi ohaneze. Anyị ife niile na-ekwute ebe afọ anyị nọ na anyị kwete.
Okay, sir. Daalụ maka asị na nwatakịrị pụta n'ọgbọ na-agbagharị, ọ okenye pụta n'ọgbọ na-aba. Asị onwe onye ziri ozi a, achọpụta na onwe onye ziri ozi, ndị mmadụ adajụọ. Maazị ọkwa ya? So thank you, sir. Nzukọ ụmụnna.
I think it will be very helpful if the organizations, because obviously they didn't log on with the organization and names.
Yes, exactly.
So if we know who is speaking for who, so.
So there appears to be, for now, any representation for Azuka. Uzoka's hand is up. And so is General Obi Ebel. If they are not speaking for organizations, they should hold on because we come to individual comments after the organizations. Kindly unmute them. If they are speaking for themselves, they will have to hold on. General Obi, yes?
I think Azuka, I don't know, but I think Azuka has been raising up his hand for a while.
Yeah, actually that hand has been up since the meeting began.
Yeah,
probably
I think.
So let's take General Obi. If he's speaking for an organization, we'll take him now. If it turns out he's not, we'll have to ask him to.
Okay, so let's ask General Biumahi. General, please, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I am the President General of Ndibo Lagos.
Okay.
So the Ndibo Lagos must not be in that list for someone to hold brief for an organization that is affiliated with Ohaneze.
So, sorry, can you make that point
if it is. I am saying
yes,
that Ndibo Lagos is an organization affiliated with Ohaneze.
Yes.
Except if this thing is predetermined that, exclude. But if there is a registered organization and known and credible, so I should be allowed to speak.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm saying not that you shouldn't, sir. The point is that we were reading out the list of organizations so that if, like now you're speaking for Ndibo Lagos, that is in order. That's all I'm saying. We needed to confirm it's an organization. So go on.
Okay.
Not
okay, thank you. Thank you. If Nepu is that now.
Yes.
General, go on.
Go on, sir.
Even Nepu is
Looks like there's a challenge with your microphone, sir.
Nah.
Can you hear him?
I think, General, we have to bring you back.
We'll bring you
if you can
back,
change,
Please.
if
This
you can
webinar,
change position.
on the election.
Oh, okay. Okay, he's now fine. General, go ahead. I think you need to start afresh, General, because we didn't hear you for about 30 seconds you've spoken. Doctor, okay, you can go ahead because we'll bring back General because
We'll
I
bring
think
him back. Yes, yes, yes.
yes.
So, Alibo Development Foundation, ADF, representation.
I don't know if we have Professor Mwala here.
I didn't see him on attendance, but he may have logged in now.
I can't see any.
I can't see him. While we are doing that, if General is back with his network, we can quickly take him so that we move on. General Omahi, are you back?
Okay, so General, can you unmute now and try once more?
Okay, maybe not network, even not at Roma, but I think I've been communicating from this same position in other webinars.
It's fine now, go ahead.
Yes, even the group is that now. This webinar did not extend invitation to members of this election committee that is in question. It did not extend invitation to the dissolved ESCO of Ohaneze or the newly elected ESCO of Ohaneze. So I am also speaking as a member of that election committee. Number one, that election that Imobi constituted and taxed as appropriate was given a guideline. And now the first Imobi on the 20th, there was an observation raised concerning the election committee. And because of that, there was a second Imobi meeting called. And there were some amendments because of observation made by Ndine Bama, at least 2 persons. So audience was granted and another Imobi was called in order for everybody to be on the same page. So when there was nobody in that second Imobi that raised objection to anything, any decision taken during that Imobi meeting. And that task given to Imobi, to election committee to go ahead. But Emeka Ugboju, my friend and my brother, was because of his behavior sent out of the committee. And I can see that Emeka is like leading a war against Ndigbo, against Ohaneze, because this concerned Imobi, they are faceless. They have no names. Apart from my revered elder, Omar Elazu, I don't know any other person. Imobi, none of these concerned elders that are talking about. Let them list them. Kaimal, this concerned Imobi. It's just faceless concerned Imobi call. They have not listed their names. Kaimal, the credibility that we can attach to them. So what I am saying is that Emeka Ugboju as a person is just leading a war against Ndigbo, a war against Ohaneze. And this war didn't start just now, this election. It started long ago because Hannah, some other social media platform, they had been concocting plans on how to run parallel Igbo organization that be parallel to Ohaneze. I was contacted to be part of it. I rebuffed it, and I cautioned them on the dangers of that particular effort. And Emeka has not abandoned that. I think Emeka should play the role that will help Igbo to grow, not to bring disaster to an Igbo, not to bring disaster to Ohaneze. That is just my contribution. And let me also add that now the constitution they are referring to, let them cite one part of the constitution that was breached in that election. They have not cited even one section of the constitution that was breached. None.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. The General has raised some very salient points which we cannot ignore. The ones that should be of particular interest, because we are thinking of resolution of issues. The ones that should be of interest include his observation that invitations were not extended to certain categories of persons. If that observation is correct, in my view, that would be an error because this is supposed to be a well-rounded stakeholder involvement. And if, for instance, the past executive, which is a stakeholder, the MOB members, as he said, and others were not invited, I believe, and this is purely personal, that they should have been invited. Now, he also said that there were no specific sections of the Constitution that were violated, but the concerned MOB members are saying the contrary. Now, this is not the point at which to resolve it. We'll have to take comments. It's also not time for Emeka to respond. Otherwise, it will be like a direct exchange. So we must follow the prescribed procedure. Organizations will make their comments. And I believe anybody speaking here, like General and every other person, the only thing they desire is the best for us. So let's not mistake different points of view for opposition to the welfare of Ndibo. And in fact, we must thank him for the issues he's raised, because resolutions must involve all stakeholders. If it's confirmed that some were not invited, it's a lapse that must be addressed. Let's continue with the comments. The secretary, I think, of Alibo raised his hand at a point. He sent a message. Alibo, if he's here, I'm Secretary General of ADF. Okay, ADF.
What's the name?
Nathaniel Anieku. Unmute yourself.
Hold on.
Okay, Delia. Okay, no. Nathaniel. If Nathaniel is not on,
I can't see any Nathaniel.
I can't see him either, you know.
Oh, okay, sorry. He's here now. Nathaniel, can you unmute yourself?
He's speaking for ADF, Mazi.
Okay.
I'll mute go kita. Mo Professor Nathaniel Anieku, Secretary General, ADF. And can that ADF in total support of the communique of the concerned MOB group. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Mazi also recognize. I noticed that Mazi Elazo's hand is up, but sir, this is not the time for response. Kindly bear, we will come to that. Let's first of all, these are reactions that we are taking to the communique itself. So that's all there is. Council of Igbo States in America, CICA.
I think, hold on, I think Austin Okeke, maybe for Nzuko Munna is here.
Oh, Nzuko Munna, that's great.
Austin Okeke, can you please go ahead?
I'm talking on behalf of Igbo Board of Deputies. We participated in the conclave yesterday, and we hereby endorse the communique. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I can see Delia Jufo. I'm a Roma organization on a represent.
If he's representing an organization, let's take him. Deli, are you representing any organization?
Yeah, I'm representing a normal redemption group on this platform. And first the meeting, I endorsed the decision of the meeting. And while General Umahi was talking,
in a man does the decision of which meeting?
Communique of MOB yesterday. Concerning MOB meeting yesterday. Because they sent them here to our platform and in fact encourage Ani to be represented fully in the thing. And I need to be very aware of it. So we're not being led by the nose, according to some people. I don't
know. European Igbo Communities, EIC.
Amaramo, Obu no when you representing her, Biko, raise your hand.
Azụka kasi makinele ihe bata na aka
Obi unmuted, so he can
throughout the meeting. You know. So the next name list organization there, okay. The next organization there will Ekwenche USA.
Okay, Joe Ukebu, Amaramo, which organization? Joe Ukebu, please.
Okay.
Joy Ukebu, sorry.
Joy Ukebu.
Sorry,
Okay.
Joy Ukebu. Which organization?
Yeah. Okay, One Voice Women Movement. We're in UK and in Nigeria as well. So we've been actually part of making sure that ohaneze election properly. So I actually support the MOD, consigned MOD, what they have written, because I actually a good representation for Ndibo, and I actually Ndibo can make with one voice. So we actually support the consigned evil. And the way somebody mentioned about the election that happened, that election that happened wasn't a true representation of the Igbo, because money as well was involved in that. And we have evidence that things like that happened. So that's the only thing I can do. Yeah. Thank you.
One person is for World Igbo Congress, another is for European Igbo Community. So we take Anthony Giaffo for World Igbo Congress. Can he unmute himself? Anthony Giaffo for World Igbo Congress. Then we take Oliver Nwankwo for European Igbo Community.
Ndị be anyị ekene m unu. Ana m ewetala unu ozi ekene from Nashville, Tennessee, na USA. Ana m ekene Emeka Ugwuoju, Maazị Ezeoke, Dr. Eliazu, Dr. Ikechukwu, all the contestants na this election, so-called election, and all the participants na meeting na. Ekene m unu, ana m ebutala unu ozi ekene from World Igbo Congress. Ka m gwakwa unu na mbido na anyị may fully endorse communique number 3, the concerned Imobi Weputa, having been part of the process of generating that. Achọkwa nka mmekọ unu ghọta na Emeka Ugwuoju enwere any particular direct contact with World Igbo Congress. Everything anyị na-eme the independent of him. Ya na unu mana World Igbo Congress, all we are interested in but the welfare of our people, security of our people, economic welfare, political framework for Ndi Igbo to function. Anything outside that, abura for us. This is why I need to be very anxious to ensure na enwelo ohaneze that we represent the interests of our people, not the interests of people. Anyị na eme. So ndị be anyị ọnya ka anyị ji sị na concern ndị
Unu kwado communique.
Anyị kwadolie fully kpọmkwem. Daalụnụ.
No. Oliver Nwankwo for European Economic Communities, Igbo Communities.
Oliver Nwankwo.
Okay. Noria, Council of Igbo States in America has a representation. Bobby Anieku. Bobby's hand is up. Council of
Yes, good morning. Bobby Anieku. I'm the president of Council of Igbo States in America. Anyukwado Communica, Imobi, the most recent communique of Imobi concerning the election, because election ML, more than anyị nwere ike ife ọ na-egosi bụ na ọ bụrụ na anyị nwere ike ime obere election kedu ka anyị esichi obodo niile. So ọ dị mkpa na ndị Igbo niile ji ofu onu wee na-ekwu, and ebe anụ ha na-eme ada select anyị ndị ga-achị anyị ya kwụsị. So I don't know we communicate completely. I get election. Onye win lo. Election of onye win lo. So be it. Mana ya bụ na nke ade designate line onye ga-achị anyị. Ndewo.
Ndewo. Oliver Nwankwo is here now for EIC. He's asking to be unmuted.
Oliver Nwankwo, you can unmute yourself. Oliver Nwankwo is not logged on with audio. So he can. Okay, he's logged on now with audio. Okay. Can you now unmute yourself, please?
Can I speak now, please?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Okay, because Ndibo Ekelemo. In the European Igbo communities, Wadoro, ihe concerned Imobi dere. Because European Igbo communities, bu Tujikrondibo, from various European countries. Obro Febe is in The Hague, Netherlands, myself, mwa be The Hague, mwa bo onyisi. Iya ichorobu udo na libo. I focus na investment na libo, which we do in every country. With the situation, the members of parliament, various countries, they know what is going on. They are not going to support regions, states, where due process is not followed. Because in Chineke na yo ndi Igbo niile ku ewetu obi miha wetu udo na libo. Nothing is much more than unity. Because anmayo general ndi ozo because onye obula ka I wete n'udo ka I mee due process. There is nothing much more than due process, peace and unity.
Maazị Nwankwo biko ị ga-agwa anyị ma ihe na-ekwu ọ na ndị otu unu kwadoro communique anyị na-edere ịma.
I kwadoro ya 100%. 100%.
Thank you. The last group Ohande Igbo. Is there any representation? Okay, if there's none, I'm suggesting two things. Number one, because I can take a few comments from under Madena in the Chori Kunon nke ha n'uche ha. So, ka anyị banye na nke ahụ onye chọrọ ikwu o mee ka ama na ọ chọrọ ikwu okwu ba iwelite aka akpọlie ya okwuo onye ihe ọ na-ekwukwa nyakwuo ya in 1 minute n'otu nkeji maka ihe nọ ebe a ekwere m ma ekweghị m ọ bụghị ịga gụọ history. So please, if there are any further comments, let's take them. And I believe they are being noted by El Lazo and the Mecca for subsequent response later, because they will be called up. Yes, Dele Ajufo's hand is up again. I believe you can unmute yourself, sir.
Because at our ages, Emeka Ugoji, somebody I know, much younger than us, Elder Omar Eliazu here. For General Umahi to come here saying Emeka Ugoji in a leader anybody knows, literally, smacks of insult to the sensibilities of Ndi Igbo niile. Unwere nzuko nanyi bu Umar Eliazu ga-anọ. Unasi na unwere ogogo isi na nwatakịrị ga na-elidi ya. Ọ dịkwa nkuji anyị apology for making that statement biko akụkụ nwụra Emeka dị elide onye ọbụla biko nụ daalụnụ.
Thank you, sir. Ka mụnwa ịma ebe a sị na ọmụ moderator onye na-ahazi okwu onye iwe na-ewe ka m nye the apology on behalf of the person. Ihe na-ekwu ihe m chọrọ ka anyị ghọta na ị na-ekwu na onwe onye Emeka na-elide by the nose. Unu nwawu ndị okenye na ị na-ekwu na unu etofee na ndị ga-awụ na ha ga-ebi n'ije ajọ ha ebe ha na-aga sị na ha amaghị na onwe kpọ ha aga. I think that should be noted. That's a comment from Ajufo. We'll move on. There will be a subsequent response to all of this later. Any other person who wants to speak? Okay, so that should be it. We'll take these observations. Let us take the comments and note them. Probably towards the end, we'll have a 1-minute clarification on some of these things. But 2 things I will say up front. Mazie Lazo Elder, the copy of the communique arising from their group, which includes specific sections of the Constitution that are alleged to be violated, it should be made available, because it will appear from General's comment that is not aware that there were specific references to known sections quoted copiously for that purpose. And beyond that, I think we should move on. I will invite Mazi to bring in our big brother, Chief Anyim Pius Anyim, to address us before I invite questions in reaction to his submissions. Mazi Konite. Hello. There appears to be a challenge.
Sorry. No, sorry. I think Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, I think, is now unmuted, so he can have the floor. Senator, go ahead.
I'm trying to come up. I'm trying to understand my system.
You've come up, but so far we are seeing your ceiling. If you bend the face of the laptop a little more towards you.
Am I there?
No. Just pull the system towards you. The top part that is open. Just bend it a little forward. The top of the laptop, the cover. Bend it like you want to cover it back.
No, I'm using
That's it. You can see your face. Now move it a little more now. A little more.
Okay?
Very good. We are seeing you, sir. So that the light on top will not be blinding the camera.
Okay.
Yes, that's all right.
Can I on?
No.
Am I on?
You're on, sir.
Good.
No.
Let me particularly Chief Emmanuel Lazo. I haven't seen him for a long time. Uncle, let me also say that I am privileged to be on this platform today, and I have followed through the discussions on the platform. But more particularly, it was very unfortunate for me. My organ I got a communicate. I think I had a little problem with my system, and I lost track from item 3. So, but I had 1, 2, and I lost the rest. But I think I got the gist of the communique, and I'll be able to be in a position to speak on it. Ezioku, my mind in this meeting tonight will simply be to thank and congratulate every member of this team for raising our consciousness regarding the affairs of Ohaneze. Never in our history had it ever been like this. By this approach, everybody has been brought to know how Ohaneze works, what are the challenges, what need to be done, and what are the shortcomings. That consciousness alone, that awareness alone, for me, is a major achievement of this group. There may be shortcomings here and there, but generally today, I am proud to say that if the Igbos across the world, the young and the old, can show interest in the affairs of Ohaneze, it should be a very new beginning for our people. Let me also say, secondly, that if you ask me about my understanding of the problems, my understanding of the problems I may put it this way, maybe a very simplistic approach to it, for which many may disagree with me. My understanding is that the systems of Ohaneze is not very effectively at work. And any organization that does not commit to the workings of its institutions is certainly bound to have crisis. And I think that is what we are experiencing now. Maybe over the years, we have not been diligently following the workings of our system, allowing our system to work. And once the institution is weak, there is bound to be crisis at a point. But I want to say that what this team have done by getting together, following through, identifying these gaps, identifying these problems, would have been a whole lot of achievement towards providing solutions. Now that the problems are known, certainly the solutions may be a lot much easier to arrive at. And I want to say that with the communique, which also provided a lot of leeway towards solutions, that we are halfway into solving the problems. Let me say one thing. This afternoon, I was so down that I wouldn't have been in a position to participate in this program, if not that I was informed of it before. Because I just opened my phone and I read the social media news that some group of people went to Ohaneze Secretariat today and said that a faction of Ohaneze, new Ohaneze leadership, and they had come to inspect the Secretariat, and the Secretariat is not fit for use, and so they have sealed the Secretariat, and they are going to open a new Secretariat in Enugu town next week where they will operate from. Honestly, I feel so terrible, because if you ask me, who are the parties to this fight? Ndigbo versus Ndigbo. Where is it taking us to? If you ask me, what are we fighting for? If our systems work, then future elections will not generate any form of crisis. And so if you ask me, I would say, Biko, for our own collective dignity, for our own collective honor, whoever that has any opinion of what has gone wrong, let the person contribute in working towards preventing those things in the future. And I think that is what this platform is trying to achieve. And if I am right, I think it's the way to go. And if we continue to give the impression that we can't work together, we can't coexist with each other, nobody can respect the other, everybody is equal, one way or the other, entire race is being ridiculed, and we will get into a greater mess going forward. And whenever I find myself in this kind of situation, I look back, like the Maya Opera short video that was played. The Maya Opera for me, and I did say it in a number of forums, that the Maya Opera is the greatest Igbo man that had ever lived. If you talk about service to the Igbo race, the Maya Opera, there is no person, living or dead, from the Southeast that had done for the Igbos what a Maya Opera had done. Maya Opera did not engage in the battle of supremacy amongst his contemporaries then. Neither did he try to demonize the institutions that were in place then. And if we must emulate that character, we should be able to solve our problems by ourselves. If we insist that we must reconduct an election the Igbos gathered in Norway to conduct, we may not be looking for a solution. But if we articulate the problems and the challenges and the issues that had gone wrong, and now mandate the new team to say, this is the way Igbos want Ohaneze to go. Are you prepared to commit to this? So that by the time this tenure expires, we'll be able to have that will give us, a very comfortable outcome that everybody will accept, that everybody will feel proud of, that every person will be dignified with. I think that is the way to go. And maybe in conclusion, because I want to be as short as possible, if you ask me, I will say, why not we give the new leadership an opportunity to set up a reconciliation committee that we look at, in addition to many other things they will do, will adopt this communique issued by this platform into their workings and try to address all the problems that have been raised in that communique, and maybe take input from across board and provide a platform that guarantees our future. If we have gotten it wrong now, it will be worse if we don't secure the future. And if we don't stop at this point to think about the future, we will carry over this crisis into the future, and the future may be more bleak than now. Biko, I just appeal to all of us. Shouldn't be a battlefield amongst ourselves. We have enough to contend with other forces outside us. So, but if it has to be amongst us, I am sure we are getting it wrong.
No, thank you very much. Words of wisdom have some peculiarities. They do not have to come with a very strong or loud voice. Words of wisdom is not a question of the kind of vocabulary. Very often is the disposition of the person conveying that makes the difference. Senator Anyim has ogwana anyị okwu ka nwanne anyị nwoke. Ka onye na-asị ụmụnne biko ndị nọ n'ama na-achị echi anyị ọchị unu ekwekwala ka o mee. And beyond that, he didn't make it his business to just tell us what is wrong. He came with a solution, with suggestions about a resolution. These are the signs of genuine leadership. Before we go further, let's give him a round of applause. And the things to take away from that are several, or the things that this is not good for Ndebo. One, that the new leadership might consider or should consider the possibility of setting up a reconciliation committee, that the communique we've been offered today should not be discarded or ignored, but should be taken on as a work tool. Whatever it's pointed at that is wrong, if true, should be acknowledged. And that is where sincerity matters. And acknowledging it is not in order to put it in a drawer, but to say, okay, out of these things we found that are wrong, what's the middle ground that will make everybody feel at home and agree to work together? We thank him very much for those observations. The other issue then on the table that Elder and many others would want to consider going forward would be on what platform, who will call that meeting. This is a time to begin to look for credible people to take this communique and the matters arising from it much further than where it is today, because what we want is a solution. At the moment, we have three presumptive presidents, each claiming legitimacy, and the revelation from our distinguished brother that even some office in Enugu has been cordoned off only adds to the unacceptable dimension of the fray in the matter. So on that note, let me crave your indulgence to call for comments and reactions. We'll start with Dr. Emeka Okenwa. Kindly unmute yourself and keep your comment as brief as possible, preferably within 1 minute. If it's getting long, anybody who is making very long comment will be muted by the admin. Dr. Okenwa, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, okay. My name is not Okenwa. My name is Okenwa.
And I didn't see your picture. You know, the glass. Come
to big brother. Because ending when one young idea. I was me kurundi or handibu. And I'm never somehow I was struggling to admit myself and I didn't. Okay, Oku Guinea Nedima. Oku, His Excellency Pius the Kwama. Ana Chibogo. Madaba and Ebogo Gasoke and Equalam Canconi Henese, and Wakange Henese. Unu Chatakwana here with the third communique in the Mobi Neweputa. So it's not a question of the communicate upon any move to be able to now get people to know what the issues are. It is not about making peace. It is about making peace that is based on facts. That on banana ndulanis na bana agogo conscience one open wound always yoko healing. You see, right now it is not about an election or an election. Elections are won and lost in Nigeria by mere coercion. We all appreciate and know that. But it is about what impact this will have on us as Ndi Igbo, who are seen as the most egalitarian, who are seen as the people who are most engaged in their recruitment process. Unu chetakwanu, going forward out of this election and how we handle it, we determine what our fate will be, in the future, politically, socially, economically, and otherwise. So my question is not to who will raise the communique, who will go. What you should be asking is the first 1 or 2 communiques that had been issued. Has there been any response? Has anybody reached out? Apart from, because if you remember, Wundi issued the first communique. It was issued by Ohaneze. And this came out of a Zoom meeting that all of us participated in. And everybody voiced their opinions. So if you say, let us reconcile, I agree. But we must be able to set those ground rules for reconciliation. If we say nothing went wrong, then there's no need for reconciliation. I know Nigeria, Yaradua lose the election. He came out to say the election that brought me, okay, wasn't that good. I appreciate and accept that 1 or 2 things were wrong with that election, but I want to pledge that the next one will be that way. It came from Yaradua, not those who are fighting him. Okay, so point I'm trying to make, yes, point in that he make on a last note. Thank you very much, one name. Biko, and the youngest of us here is about 60. And then children who are all grown, who are also getting married, and looking forward to this leadership we must be able to give to them. If we do not get ohaneze rights, we cannot get Igbo land rights. We cannot get our politics right. We cannot get our people to engage. And a lot of Undulan, okay, you know this, are they interested in politics? Our brothers in the diaspora, they're more interested in engaging with ohaneze or with a body like ohaneze than they are in this thing we call politics of Nigeria. So for us to be able to drag them in, we must be able to have a ohaneze that is above board. That's the point we are trying to make. So because this reconciliation should have this at the back of their minds. Onye amarụra ka a na-asị ga ayawa biko. Onye marụra ga-asị oke wakwana iji maa ya ụra ngwa ka eme reconciliation. Ndị a, has there been any step forward to say okay, ihe n'unu na-akọ, if somebody has just gotten into the platform and moved it away with a wave of hand, they are non-existent, they are inconsequential, they don't have pedigree. That's not the spirit. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. What we are to take away from that is that there has to be some point of anchorage for this to work. There has to be some evidence of goodwill. And with reference to the 2 earlier communiques you mentioned, I'm not aware that besides the presentation of the communiques and the issues, there was a further suggestion and insistence that, look, I believe there in this outing today, there's greater indication of Simbekwane like this, not just pointing out what is wrong. On that note, I will call Maazi Benez enter, and time will have to be enforced because we are really running late. Kindly keep your comment within 1 minute, please. Admin, take note. Zoom master.
Okay, because I can mmadụ dum nọ here. Obi dị m ụtọ maka platform and otu ga-esi weta udo na ala Igbo. There were a few things I need to reconsider at this time. Senator Anyem kwuru okwu ka dimkpa kwuo okwu ka mmadụ. At this point, I believe nke mbụ ime acknowledge na enwere nsogbu n'ala Igbo. Ohaneze enwere nsogbu. And acknowledging that the election emezi is the first point of moving forward. The next point, kedu ndị dị aggrieved n'ihe, and kedu onye ọ ga-awụ they acceptable. The communique about the Catholic community or Catholic leadership. That could be a good point to start to anchor a solution. And that part of the solution, shouldn't include relitigating the election. I am a member of Alibo Stabilization Fund. And I'm na diaspora. The enthusiasm di Igbo nwere mgbe a na-ekwu ihe ala Igbo Stabilization Fund, ọ hụkwara na ihe mena the dampened spirit of ndị Igbo kemgbe ihe ọhaneze, ma anyị enwetaghị ihe ọhaneze a right, it will rob ndị Igbo of a lot of things. Biko ihe na-asị wụ, first of all, there should be an acknowledgement na ihe mebiri, ihe mere ememezi ihe. I say mmadụ ndo, then obi ada. The next stage will ebe I may acknowledge. How do we? And with a lot of things in our Igbo, engage ohaneze doesn't exist in our grassroots. It only exists in the social media. I'm sorry to say that.
Thank you, sir.
How do we do that? My constitutional ohaneze? How do we make it so that ihe merenu ko harimo ọzọ? All I need to focus on.
Thank you. Igbo sina ehu ebe obi ajuru. We take from that the fact that there must be an acknowledgement of something wrong before we talk about a resolution. That should not be lost. Elder Omailazo, kindly unmute yourself, sir, and let's have your comments. He is still muted. Yes, please,
okay.
Go on.
Okay, ndewo no. Enweghị oke okwu m chọkwara ikwu ugbu a ma ọ ga-esi na today's paper, this day, page 74, there's an article written by Reno Omokri. It's titled, "Without Igbo Unity, there can't be Igbo presidency." That's today's paper. So, ihe ọzọ m chọrọ ikwu ikele Maazị His Excellency Anyim Pius Anyim, ezi nwanne m nwoke. Ihe okwu dị mma. Concerned Imobi, let me say it again, people, we are not any faction or anything. I will bona fide members of Imobi of Ohaneze. I've been in Ohaneze from 1983 when Jerome Mudoji was the president. And I know the inside and outside. I conducted the election that brought in the Joy Ruku. So, no, something is going wrong, which is the first and second communique. Let us see how we can do it. As an annual faceless people. The electoral committee didn't even want to listen to us. They knew everything. Okay, the third communique and Keta. Oh, okay, how do we go about it? And to come back to events, Senator Anyim Pius Ikuru. I am Anjis, okay, Kamba Kundoka. They are venerable Igbo leaders in their own right. Kahabia se lebanye fa. Agwala mi ihe enyi m nwoke George Obiozor dere. Something that should have been addressed to Imobi is put out there in the paper. It's not addressed to anybody, you know. And there is nothing in it which recognizes that something wrong has been done. And unless we begin as we say, okay.
Thank you very much.
Let us do it again. Okay. That is why we said, all got this concerned, all got any Jeremiah, our man said, Eja Potandi Oza, Habia Buanya Ogwa. Some people said, Anyangogo facts. We have documentation written by people who were contesting the election. 3 of those who were contesting the President General, and were detailed information about what went on. And 2 of the people who were running for Secretary General, who were there, paid their form by ego, and in the last minute, they didn't know where the election was going to be, and the election was switched on them as is your option F4. You know, we are not the people to defend those things. And we don't want to go to court to sort out ourselves. That's why Angie said, "Akbondi Church, Haje Kudo onye mere elect. Let them akpọ anyị oku. Anyị anọdụ otu ebe hazie ya hazie, just as Senator Pius said. Nobody is fighting anybody. I'm not fighting to be President General. I'm 90 years old. And what do I want to do with President General of Ohaneze? Except that Kemi Fek Organu Soroya, so that ụmụaka anyị ndị so n'anyị azụ ya ebiri. I wish everybody and when this article go and read it and see what we in Igbo, what we are facing in this country. Anyabia Yimu Soku to fight each other. Rubbish.
Indeed. Indeed, sir. You said it and said it very well. I made the observation at the beginning after you read the communique that the goodwill in it is obvious. You're calling for reconciliation. You're calling for parties, third parties that enjoy genuine respect in the hope that they will be objective. So there's no perception of partisanship in terms of it is clear to all of us, and is that peace that we want. We'll still take some further comments, but what is emerging in my view so far is that besides the matter of the credibility of the election, which is being challenged, or at least is being pointed out that there were issues with it, there is the further subtly emerging observation that greater sensitivity by those who are holding the position today might help. Elder just referred to something in the paper, when you see one of the Ndisi Ohaneze. Ihe kwesịrị ikwu na Obi awụ ihe a na-ekwu n'ama, it will only create more problems. But anyway, let us please move on. Time is against us. We'll take Oziuzo Nnewi. After that, we take Obin Okenze. And we'll move on, take about 4 or 5 more people. And that's why everybody has to keep himself or herself within 1.5 minutes. Please go on.
Oh, no.
No.
Even na yobu, I will anya okenye ji afọ ibe dị n'akpa wee fụ ibe na-eme. Nsogbu anyị nwere bụ maka na ụfọdụ ndị chọrọ iji Ohaneze wee mee ife ha chọrọ. Ife anyị nọ na ya bụ Ohaneze na all the bodies anyị nwegasịrị, all institution building phase ka anyị nọ na ya. Enwe ụdị nsogbu a, ife ọ ga-egosi na Ohaneze na ndị mmadụ afụbaghị asị ife dị mma wee chọọ ka ba dọkpụrụ ya. Even na yo all the associations va malụ build bekwa their own associations ọfụma maka unu n'anya ife na-eme n'ụwa ife dịka America. Ifu na o nwere onye chọrọ iji America mee ebe solia, mana America because na va nwere their own crews nwee ike napụta ya from them. Mana ife m ga-ayọ biko ndị na-alụrụ anya ọlụ like Emeka Ugwuoju biko si ekwutọ na ife a na-eme amasị. So ana m ekene ndị kpọkwalụ ọgbakọ ọnụnwa eji ngwa ka m kwụsịsị ebe a.
Jerry Okechukwu, please, very quickly. You have 1 minute. Unmute yourself and address us.
Ana m ekene onugbu ndị Igbo.
No.
Ya gazienu. Ife m chọrọ itinye bụ na ana m participate na meeting a na-eme since, and I've had cause to contribute and say 1 or 2 things. In this case, achọrọ m ikwu na just like some of us also enunciated, ọ ga-adị mkpa ka ndị Igbo yali ime na onwefa disgrace. All the no ka does serious no one. The whole world, ndị Igbo nwere position na this world as ndị ga-azọpụta ndị Africa na the black race. Not even so much less Nigeria. Nigeria is even a small community, is a small entity for ndị Igbo. How come now the same Nigeria, when we are excelling in the whole world space, na Nigeria no nwefa anyị na-echi onwe anyị afa like this. Biko nu enwe anything anyị nwere ike ime, all the intelligentsia, all the experienced political fathers, political brothers, and political groupings, all the brothers we have, please let us sheath our sword and humble ourselves too.
And work together. Thank you
and
very
work
much.
together in unity and come up with one entity that we're proud of the whole Igbo world, worldwide. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uremela.
Other Mandeo. Sir Oliver, please very quickly unmute yourself. You have 1 minute. Yes, please. You're muted. Anyan Rokwayi Neku. We are yet to hear you. Yes, please. Go on. Your audio is not connected. Can you? Okay, please, as you sort that out, we take what names? Bobby Anieku. Very quickly, please. Unmute yourself. You have 1 minute.
Okay. Well, if I'm actually quite rosy or to Makanande, Kugolo since I may indicate eventually have expressed my sentiments. But the main thing actually that I'm not in support of this. It appears we want to paper over what happened. The point is, once you condone it now, then it will continue in the future. We need to have another election where all the aggrieved parties are properly represented. But because they vote doesn't mean that it cannot be redone. But we can't just say, okay, that's been the problem with Ndiba in Nigeria as a whole.
Nsi na oge eso na options a ga-enye ndị a na-akpọ dịka ndị ụka, ndị bishọp, a ga-enye ha options a ga-eme endorse, ịtụgharị akwụkwọ, or ikpe oku udo, and all of that. These are options we'll need to deal with. We'll take General Omahi. After that, we take Oliver Nwankwo. Then we'll take C.I. Okenze Obinna. And that will be it.
Okay, so, I think I need to talk before Omahi, please.
Sorry? Oh, yes. You said what?
I need to speak before Omahi, please.
Okay, well, is it not probably better? He might raise other issues, so you take all of them at once.
No, let me just speak before he speaks.
Okay, very well. Emeku Gwoju, please.
Yeah, please. I wouldn't want to join issues with General Omahi, but I just want to put it on record that he has said that Emeku Gwoju is fighting the Igbo nation. And I'll say that the implication of that is that if anything happens to Emeku Gwoju tomorrow, they should know where it's coming from. I rest my case.
Well, my observation is that, first of all, what the general said is his personal opinion. That opinion has been challenged by other elders. I think he has a right to his perception and opinion. We can disagree with it, and a lot of people disagree with it, so that we don't go out of our way to make it a very unusual issue. But your concern is legitimate because the reference was personal and direct and sounded as if he was so sure you were organizing something against Ndibo. But I will add that for the purpose of this event and for me personally as moderator, it is an opinion. You can understand it the way you've done and you have a right to do so. I thought I should play that on the table. Your concern is genuine because you're singled out. And you can hear from perceptions that his view is not necessarily the dominant view. Somebody has thanked you here too for your effort. I am personally appreciative because I've been part of this endeavor at various levels. So you might as well challenge the man who thanked you for not thanking you. So my brother, I will tell you to hold that view, but please bear in mind that that's not the only view or perception of you on this matter. So we'll take General Omahi and 2 more, and then we'll move on to wrap up. So General, please, sir.
Thank you very much, our moderator. Daluso Ekenengi. Emeka, iwukwa nwanne m nwoke, iwukwa my friend. But because of the number of people Wagol Goku that you should disembark from this journey, that's why Njikwu. And number two is that now our concerned elders, though not a reputable list, they will concerned elders, and we need to know. The concerned elders listened only to India win her election. They should have also listened to the conduct to the election to find out the truth before they take a position. Then the next thing was that the organizations released this memo. Are they affiliated to Ohaneze? Because all had affiliated to the Ohaneze, they were local standing to take the position they have taken concerning Ohaneze election.
Thank you, sir.
So, Anamasibiko, Umuanem, Kaijiko Akonu, let's stay together in a house and urinate outside. Instead of some staying inside the house, some staying outside, and those outside urinating on inside. I think that will not help us. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Because what I want us to take away from this observation is that clearly the concerns are raised by people who have no doubt that they are stakeholders and whose personal history and contribution to Igbo is likely to also make us say, yes, these are stakeholders. Because whatever is going to be put forward for consideration by the Council of Bishops or any reconciliation group must include this. I think the benefit of the last comment, so it is good he has made that. No, I share the view that there are genuine concerned elders. Let's just indicate that in whatever communication we are putting forward towards reconciliation. I will take a comment from the chat by Ben Aka. He says, since it is not looking like I can unmute myself, I would like to say that we should vigorously pursue enthronement of justice. All the problems that we are seeing here plaguing us today are hinged on our disrespect for justice, adherence to our rules of engagement, and utter disregard for the sensibilities of our brothers in our conduct. That's a point of view. So we'll take Obin Naukenze very quickly, 1 minute.
Please.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. Yeah, thank you. Actually, so the rest of the people here Sinaha kwetere n'ihe ndị concern Imobi Council kwuru. Personally, after this Ohaneze general election as a shamble totally, because on this particular platform, Nwanna Nwoke Bo Ezuoke and the rest of them webted themselves to organize a debate among ndị nwa si na ha chọrọ HI ka ha gwa anyị what they have in mind. Now, all these people who may emerge as the leaders now, ndị na-achị Ohaneze ndị Igbo, none of them bịara gwa anyị anything ha nwere in mind for us.
Well, so in the communique,
yes, and some another thing I'm chọrọ ikwu nwanne m bụ onye Igbo azụ akwuru okwu. Onye ọbụla bụ onye Igbo, as long as n'ọbara Igbo dị n'ime, ị nwere stake in Ohaneze ndị Igbo and you have say in Ohaneze ndị Igbo. Onwe ihe dị ka na ndị nke anụ nwa kara ibe ha bụrụ Ohaneze ndị Igbo. If that is the case, then unu abụrụzie na Ohaneze ka ndị ọzọ jechọ ihe ha ya arụ. We are all, and the point onye ọbụla ji bịa here so that we can find solution going forward, so that we can build confidence going forward.
That is it. Solution and confidence. Thank you very much for those strong concepts in your observation. Austin Okeke, please, let's take it in this order. Austin Okeke will come on, followed by Oliver Wankwo, and finally, Emeka Okengwu, my friend, Mporo Emeka Okeke.
I just want to drop something for the next segregate in the Igbo, because being affiliate or not affiliate of Ohaneze has nothing at all to do with locus standi. And any Igbo person, the very first, the preamble to Ohaneze and Igbo, which I have here, we in the Igbo of Nigeria. It did not say we affiliate member of Ohaneze in the Igbo of Nigeria. Please, let us take note of that. Let us just drop that perception that you have to be an affiliate member before you can talk or deliberate issues on Ohaneze. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Yes, we now, what? Your hands are down?
No, my hand is still up.
Austin,
Oliver
yes,
Nwankwo.
Emeka, you speak after Austin.
Okay. Oliver Nwankwo. Okay, because
was it Oliver?
Because,
okay, yeah.
Yes, Oliver. Yeah, because only him choro iyonuni. First and foremost, kankele Senator Pius Anyim maka ihe okwu. He pointed out nation some shortcomings. Kelekwunde concerned Imobi Ohaneze find their out, and other associations find their out. But ihe na yonu bo akwe hunu ebe anyị hunu these shortcomings. And where several interests is of yani, because can you solve one now? Can you all the factions? Na ha Chineke, makode mandibo, onye obula wetu self-interest. Igbo first, can you bakiano? Nye this ndokochuku, everything in aka. Let's correct it now. And you want opportunity correct here now. Can you happen to say Kanda correct Haranya? Bikono. INEC, a major election, INEC a messy election may again. Anama Yonu, General Umahi, Senator Anyim, Ndibo Nine, can you do the right thing now because foreign investors Ebanibi cannot wait that with so shortcomings and do nothing about it and tolerate it. Agent Chineke. Naha. The European Igbo communities now, let's correct those things now, conduct a new credible election. Ono wula winning anyara lirang.
Thank you very much. Before we take Emeka, please, 191 Ozioma Izuora, Ozitere Oziaba, I'm going to Konyo. If it was not for Emeka Ugwoju and this series of webinars he and Mazi Ezeoke have done, where would a woman like me find space in the scheme of things of Ohaneze? That's a good one. So let's quickly call Dr. Emeka Okengwu, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Obiko ụmụnna nke m achọrọ m ka onye ọbụla ghọta na ndị na-achọ Ohaneze nwere all the credibility and pedigree. So it is not about their credibility. It is not about their pedigree. It is not about their qualification.
1 minute, equal before.
Thank you. And it is not about their acceptability. Because this is about us and our tomorrow. And ihe ọbụla na-aga ime as reconciliation. And when any basis of reconciliation here, what I think we should do is to engage for Ali Igbo. And that engagement, okay, one name, it is what you do for a living. And that is why you wear your badge of this your school in Jos with a lot of pride. It is all about dialoguing. It is not about reconciliation. And until we understand that this is not a fight, and that it is all about all of us saying, you cannot be where you are when every other person thinks otherwise. And if we don't get to that point, then we will miss it. This is what our Igbo. But we remove this in coming together to raise that first communique that we send to every Igbo person.
Emeka, thank you. The passion is evident, the articulation is evident. More importantly, the concern for justice on your part is very conspicuous. You will not have anything swept under the carpet. That's what rang out in your first comment. That's what is ringing out now. You're calling for sustainable solutions. I hope I understood you correctly. That is it. One commendable, Emeka, on another person is saying that Meku Goju should actually be commended for his efforts. That's a good one. Finally, to wrap up, I will call you Iju Tony. Iju, I think the last time I saw you was when Gowon was head of state. Please, you have 1 minute to weigh in on this matter very quickly so that we bring the evening to a close and hand over to Mazi for vote of thanks. Iju, please, your mic is, you're muted. Go ahead.
Kene ndị kpọrọ mitin a wee sị unu na unu ejisi ike agwụ n'unu ife gbasara ndị Igbo na-enye m nsogbu dị nne na-arụ anyị chiri nwayọọ ka anyị jiri ụtụtụ wee chọba anya bụ ego ojii maka chiemejie ma ọ bụkwa na nsogbu adị nsogbu dị mma ejigodo ebe m na-achị wee malụ ndị niile na-agba afịa n'obodo Naijiria dum mụọ bụ ndị isifa mana ịma na ebe ọ bụla onye Igbo nọ a na-ewelu onye Igbo ọzọ were na-achụ okwu fụ na anyị ama anọ n'ofu ebe na ya ma ekwu otu okwu achọrọ ka ndị Igbo welugodo obi fa wee malụ na nọọ ndị ilo na-eme na anyị na-enwe nsogbu a biko ana m ayọsi unu ike ka unu malụ na anyị ga-anọkọ ọnụ nyụkọ mamịrị ọnụ ọgba ụfụfụ jikọọ onwe anyị ọnụ dịka ezigbo azịza eji azụ ilo ọ mee ụmụ etu a ọ ga-enye anyị nsogbu ọ ga-enyekwa anyị nsogbu iji wee nweta onye na-achị anyị ọ ga-enyekwa anyị nsogbu ịchị achị ọ ga-enyekwa anyị nsogbu inwe ọnụ okwu n'ife gbasara obodo anyị bụ Naijiria ekenekwa m unu
No, ikwuli ọfụma onwe well ada anyị nwaanyị Chizoba anyị ka iwe n'igwe aka enu mana aka sa Oliver the on since o so ndị asị ka ọ dịzi ụbọchị ọzọ ka nye unu biko nyawụ mmadụ na-abọ ka enye ha 1 minute. Sir Oliver, unmute yourself, then Chizoba Anyeka, you wrap it up as Imana ofe nwanyi kutelu, the last spoon of soup nwanyi kutelu onwe kosi ato. So, Sir Oliver, please, very quickly.
Good evening, everybody. Ihe m chọrọ ikwu bụ na unu ga-aghọta na o nwere ihe merenụ ọha na eze ji na-aga otu o si na-aga. Mgbe mbụ ọha na eze onda uwe chue anaghị enweta onwe ha. Ọ ya mere mgbe ị gara iwe chọrọ ịbata ndị gọvanọ bata. But ihe m chọrọ ikwu bụ mụ so na onye zọrọ election na this dispensation. But enweghị m iwe because ihe mere dị m mma. Ihe m na-akọwa bụ ihe a nna anyị anyam kwuru biko ka e were otu ahụ.
Thank you very much.
Ka emezie ihe niile biko ka hapụ ime nke ịbịa ikposowa ndị ewere na biko ka emezie ihe niile ka
ihe a na-emekwana otu ịtụgharị uche ka anyị nọ. Eweta m nke ọzọ eweta nke a achịkọta ha dum ọnụ chịpụtara ndị kọmitii si ndị ụkọchukwu ndị nna anyị ha na ndị nna anyị lekwa na ihe anyị bụ n'uche nọmba 1 nọmba 2 nọmba 3 ka a kpọọ oku ka e nwere tebụl ka mara ka a ga-ehọrọ n'ime ha.
Ndị a bụ ndị concern ime obi. Concern ime obi ha bụ ndị ime obi setịrị ha up ọ bụ na ha waji aka ha mara.
Sir Oliver, onwe comment ọzọ a na-etake on any concern ime obi anyị ma ndị ha wụ ọwụ na iwe adịghị ha agaghị ịpụta ọkwa na asị ha ekwula ihe a na-akpọzi ka ekwukọta ya ọnụ instead of onye ọnụ ị na-aba ebe sọrọ ya ha bịa ebe unu si na unu nwere okwu ka anyị gee unu ntị ka mara pụta ọwụ ka egbosa ihe anyị nwaanyị ya Chizoma biko gwa anyị okwu.
Ndewo ndebe. Good evening.
Ndewo.
Ndewo ndebe anyị. Okwu anụnwa na-ese ọ na-echu anyị afa. Anyị nwa bụ ụmụ nwaanyị. Ọ na-echu anyị afa ụmụ nwoke anyị biko nụ ka amalife emelia. Igbo nọ na-achọ etu oge si dịla anyị na mma na a na-akpapụ anyị akpapụ n'akụkụ. Anyị abịakwa n'ime ebe anyị nọ na-anụsakwa onwe anyị ọgụ. Ọ bụrụ na anyị adịkọrọ ọnụ kedu ka anyị esi wee zọta ihe anyị na-azọ a na-enye ọkwa na-enye ihe niile nwụrụ nke a na-akpọ ndị Igbo. Ana m arụ ọrụ n'ọrụ oyibo federal gọọmenti ama m ihe anyị na-afụ bụ ndị Igbo abịa ime asị na ndị Igbo adịrọ tugeda ndị Igbo alaikiri onwe ha unu achọ ka ndị ilo kweta eziokwu na ndị Igbo afụrụ onwe fa n'anya maka ihe selfish interest. Ọ ka mma na achọ ime meeting ọrụ na ụmụ nwaanyị na-edokọnata ụmụ nwaanyị nwee special gift Chukwu nye afa ji edokọnata ezinụlọ were edokọnata obodo. Unu chọọ ije ikpe udo a kpọrọ unu ụmụ nwaanyị anyị ọnụ ka etinye ọnụ n'okwu a chịkọnata ọnụ onye ọbụla welugodi iwe na-ewi edobe n'akụkụ ka enwegodi corporate interest before any selfish interest maka na ife a na-eme ọ na-echu anyị afa ana ọ na-echu ụmụ nwaanyị ụla biko nụ daalụ no.
Thank you. I will second that move. Onye si na ụmụ nwaanyị anaghị emete ọfụma ya cheta mami ya cheta ụmụ nwanne. A world in which women are involved in problem solving is a world where there's a lot of peace of mind for many people. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, ụmụ nwoke, ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m, ndị okenye, ndị chiri echichi, ndị na-achị obodo, asị m ka m kene unu. On that note, and going back to English, let me try to recap some of the things that have emerged in the course of our conversation. Number one, that today's event and also the communique itself, both are further extensions of the sustained effort of Njenje TV, Mazi Ezeoke, Emeku Ugoju, and many other people who are concerned to improve and even dramatize the profile of ohaneze and Ndi Igbo. There were a series of webinars leading up to the elections. More than any other thing, it expanded the scope of Igbo stakeholders. It got a lot of members of organizations, Igbo organizations all over the country, to have one meeting for the first time without going either to New Orleans or Houston for World Igbo Congress. So first is a commendable initiative and platform we'll be using. The second thing is that our engagement this evening started on a simple note. The need to put out the views of concerned IMOBI members who believe that there are certain things that were not done correctly, and that who are suggesting specifically the things, who are pointing out one, specifically the things they think need to be revisited, and secondly, not demanding to be the final arbiters, but are suggesting that we look for people we respect, institutions we take seriously, people we are likely to hear and keep quiet and hand it over to them, Sibiko, what to do. So that they didn't just come out with a riotous communique calling for the roof to be brought down even though they're in the house. They are saying, we think these things are wrong. We think these things should be revisited. And the reason we are saying it is for our collective good. That's the other outcome. The other thing that has emerged too is that not everybody believes that the election, whether in Owerri or anywhere, that there's anything wrong with it. Another thing that has emerged is that there's the insinuation and perception. And that perception is probably one that is shared by a few people who may not want to speak, that the language, not body, physical use of words by Professor Obiozo could be more accommodating. He's an elder, a distinguished diplomat, respected elder. And for anybody who has worked closely with him, you cannot contest the fact that he's an intelligent man who is respected across frontiers. But I believe that there's a suspicion that he ought to be a little more fatherly than he is. And therefore, that's something to take away. So let's see this meeting as a series, as a gathering convened for a series of takeaways. And all the takeaways are not for us to take to our houses, meet with our friends and continue grumbling, but to be taken away, assembled and listed, and then handed over to those we believe can resolve them. That's why the stakeholder holding has to be expanded. If in addition to the Council of Bishops, those handling this resolution think there should be some traditional rulers involved or representative of governors, fine. But all we want is an end to this. All that led Emeka and a lot of other people and an elder like Elazo to put this meeting together, for people like Emeka Okengwu to put out all of this passion, is that none of us on this platform who is from the Southeast wants to continue to endure the scandalous self-projection that is beginning to characterize the perception of all of us by others. Onye pronamasị na nne ya wa anụmanụ, kedu ihe ọ na-ekwu na ya wụ nwa anụmanụ? And these are the things I'm sure everybody is pained about. That's the basis for the lamentation of our sister who spoke last. And so this is the time to sheath our swords. If you're angry with anybody, personally, including me, Let us enjoy our fight, but let outsiders not know that as Igbo, everything we want to say comes in the form of a press release, comes in the form of an insult, comes in the form of it is not going to take us anywhere. And I believe that these things will appear to me to be a recap of what has transpired in the course of this meeting. So let's not just enjoy the excitement of having had a meeting. No, it will not take us anywhere. We came together here for solutions. One of the proposals towards a solution is a council of bishops to be among those that will examine the matter. The other solution I see emerging is to do a listing of what we perceive to be the problems, agree on the listing that these are the things to do. And for each problem, please, let us have suggested solutions so that there will be something to review and endorse. That will be a structured approach to lasting solution to all of this. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, ndị nze na ọzọ, ndị ọchịchị dị n'aka, ma ndị ọchịchị nke omenala, ma ndị ọchịchị nke ndị bekee, ma ndị gụrụ akwụkwọ, ma ndị ọrụ aka, our job is done. Emeka sị ndị bekee anyị will say, ọ dịghị ụjọ dị m. Ihe ọwụ gị mechi ya mụ ugbu anyị hụ. We need to solve our problems as ndị Igbo. Ndị be anyị ekene m unu. Maazị, please take over the proceedings. Give us a vote of thanks. Let's have a good evening.
Thank you very much, my good brother. Thank you. You've done a fantastic job. Dika Isiku, I think the vote of thanks you have already done the summary, but before we close, I would re-invite the former Senate President Anyim Pius Anyim back again, because I think he has one or two things again to say before we wrap it up today. If you can kindly unmute yourself. Okay, yes, you've done that now. You have some minutes to speak before we call it a day. Thank you very much. Oh, you muted yourself again. Can you kindly unmute yourself, Senator? Yes.
Am I on?
Yes, you're on now.
I have no volume. I'm not hearing you.
We can hear you loud and clear. You can go on.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, maybe I'll be talking, but certainly I'm not hearing you. I just want to thank all of us for the orderly manner we have conducted ourselves in this meeting. I think that is the spirit of Igbo-ness in us. That's what makes us what we are. And also the intellectual content of the discussions. But let me simply say that if we talk about a conciliation committee, we are not just talking about people who are to settle quarrel or to talk about those who conducted the election or those who contested in the election. We are really talking about a committee that will look at ohaneze in its entire holistic, that will look at the entire ohaneze systems, what has gone wrong before now, right now, and the present situation, and come up with solid solutions to put everything on a proper perspective and on a proper track for the future of ohaneze and for all of us. So when we talk about reconciliation, somebody said it's not reconciliation, it's engagement. I think if the new leadership should set up that committee, that kickstarts the engagement. And the reason why I recommended that, which I am happy that many other people also did, more particularly the communicate, is that when two people are quarreling, you need a third party to look into the matter. Today, many may say we must go back to an election. That is one side. The other side may say, no, we have been elected. But it's only when we have this third party, then he can now harvest these two sides and make recommendations for a way forward. So having a body to look into what has gone wrong and what need be done to move ohaneze forward may be necessary at this point. And I think that is when we can now say, look, if that body comes up with a recommendation for whatever reason, it will be a product of an independent observer, an independent umpire, if you so care. And I think it will help us understand what the problems were and it will help us have more detailed information on the challenges and the way forward. So I still appeal to all of us. Let's give them a chance to set up a committee to look into what has gone on. And let me also say finally that it must not be Reverend Fathers, it must be people who understand the workings of ohaneze. So it may be a mixture of Reverend Fathers and others who are knowledgeable in ohaneze matters, and any other Igbo person that actually is able to sit in such a committee. So please, that will help us go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that intervention.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Elias?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and actually we took that into consideration, and that is why we set up a technical committee. And that technical committee is to review the Constitution and all the problems that we've had trying to run ohaneze for the past 20-something years. That is the job of the technical committee. And they can also answer questions if the conclaves of the bishops ask us, for the technical aspect. We were not just leaving them alone. Number two, I agree, we need probably to expand. We were looking for 4 or 5 women who will join the technical committee, because we can't just be all men doing that. We've had names thrown up, and I don't know if the Senator will like to be co-opted into the technical committee, because he has seen Ndibo in Nigeria from a very high point, that he should know what engages us. So that's just a point I wanted to make. I hope you are not saying we should stop. That is the concerned, those of us who call ourselves concerned Imobi committee.
No, I don't know if I'm heard.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you. We can hear you, Senator. Go ahead. Okay. Are you, hold on. We can hear you. You are now muted. Can you quickly unmute, please?
You that must set up that committee. And my suggestion is let the present leadership set up the committee. I don't know if I'm heard.
Yes, we heard you. Okay, so thank you very much for your intervention. So like I said before, it as it is now, we shouldn't be hung on welelili manya welobuli manyewu welewu manyenobuli okabukonufi ha. I don't think na at this stage Noga Buzi onye get set up the committee or the reconciliatory committee gabu the issue here. Now, once more, Maz is okay here speaking to us, and I will say thank you every one of us for joining this conversation this evening. I would immensely thank our elder Umar Elazum, Senator Pius Anyim, Dr. Okechukwu Ikechukwu, who was the moderator, and also General Dave Umahi, Emeka Ugoju, Dr. Anakwanze, Professor Jofor, and many of us here who made their contributions. One thing Anigama and the takeaway from this meeting is that Onodugo Adigebema, we all here want something, and that is the best for Ndibo. I'm working with our individual differences. I'm working to disagree on modalities. We can disagree on processes. We can disagree on many angles. But one thing we can take away here this evening, onye ọbụla chọrọ otu ọ ga-esi wee dola n'Igbo mma, and m na-ekene onye ọbụla etu anyị si wee kwuo okwu ka ụmụnne, nwere onye balụ mba, nwere onye kpọrọ ibe iyi. Ọkwa n'etu a ka ọ ga-abụ anyị si wee na-eme ihe na ọ ga na-amasị anyị. Ọzọ dịka ibe ya bụ dịka the communique kwu and ihe niile ekwu, ọ bụrụ ntị m nke unu, ntị nka nke unu, dịka nwanne m nwoke bụkwanụ Dr. Ikechukwu kwugo, enwe ihe ekwusigo onye ọbụla n'ime anyị na ebe anụ nwajikwanụ ntị a wee nụrụ. Ihe dị ala anyị bụ, ọ bụrụ na anyị si ebe a na-apụ, na anyị ga-abịa onye ọbụla na-eche echiche na ihe ọbụla anyị na-eme, biko ụmụnne m, ikpere m dị n'ala, ana m ayọ anyị ka anyị bụrụ na ihe anyị ga na-achọ bụ etu anyị ga-esi wee mee ka ọ dị mma. Onwe onye kwuru sị na a ga-emegharị elekshọn, onye nke ọzọ sịkwa no, na agaghị emegharị elekshọn, ọ ka mma na ha bịa ka emezie ihe niile ọnụ, etela ụgba etela azụ, ọ bụ maka ọdịmma n'Igbo. Otu aka m ji asị anyị, thank you once more. Thank you for joining us this evening. I believe we have come to the end of this meeting, and we will continue the conversation for a greater and a prosperous Igbo nation. I remain once more Mazi Ezoke. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. On this note, I will now unmute, allow us to unmute. So for those of us who haven't seen each other for a long time, we now have time to now have informal conversations. The meeting is hereby closed. Thank you.